Imagine being a parent, waiting for a call from your child, but it never comes. What if you were told your child was safe, but all the evidence pointed to something darker, something that no one could explain? Today, we're diving deep into some of the most disturbing unsolved disappearances in recent history. These cases have left families in agonizing suspense, wondering if their loved ones are still alive or lost forever. Stick with me as we uncover the eerie details behind these chilling mysteries. Case 1. Timothy Pitson. It was May 11, 2011, in Aurora, Illinois. A 6-year-old boy named Timothy Pitson left school with his mother, Amy. Amy had shown up unexpectedly, claiming there was a family emergency. The teachers thought it was strange, but they didn't question it. Amy seemed off, but they let Timothy go. What followed seemed like a dream for a young boy, an adventure with his mom, a zoo, a water park, hotels, but something wasn't right. Amy was avoiding calls from Timothy's father and other family members. She'd say everything was fine, but refused to let Timothy speak to anyone. Each call was a little more unsettling than the last, and each hotel stay seemed a bit stranger. Then, one night, Amy checked into a motel alone. Where was Timothy, and why was she making these strange choices? Days later, Amy was found dead. A note she left behind said, "Timothy is safe, you will never find him." But there was a twist. The note hinted that Timothy was with people she trusted, yet no one knew who these people were. Was Timothy alive, or had something far darker happened? Authorities found traces of Timothy's blood in Amy's car. They scoured the land, retracing every step of their journey, but Timothy was gone. Then, 8 years later, a twist: someone claiming to be Timothy Pitson surfaced, but DNA testing shattered their hope. The young man wasn't Timothy. Is Timothy out there somewhere? What happened to him? We're still left with more questions than answers. Case 2. Terry Missy Bevers. It's April 18, 2016. In Midlothian, Texas, Terry Missy Bevers, a 45-year-old fitness instructor, was preparing for a morning workout class at Creekside Church. She had done this 1,000 times, but that morning would be different. Surveillance footage captured a figure, dressed head to toe in SWAT gear, wandering the church in the dead of night, hours before Missy arrived. The figure's movements were strange, almost as if they were waiting. But waiting for what? By 5 a.m., Missy's body was found. She'd been brutally attacked with a hammer. But the footage, it raised more questions than answers. Why the strange movements? And what was the motive? A robbery gone wrong, or something far more sinister? Missy's case remains unsolved, and the eerie footage of the figure still haunts investigators.
Case 4. Amy Lynn Bradley. March 23, 1998. Aboard the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas, Amy Lynn Bradley, a 23-year-old recent college graduate, was enjoying a Caribbean cruise with her family. But the next morning, Amy vanished. The ship's crew didn't take it seriously at first. Maybe she'd gone for a swim or fallen asleep somewhere. But Amy wouldn't just disappear like that. Her shoes and ID were left behind. And then, things got even stranger. Family members recalled her acting uncomfortable around certain crew members. Had one of them been involved in her disappearance? As the investigation unfolded, there were sightings of Amy in the Caribbean, but none of them led anywhere. Some even claimed to have seen her in a brothel, begging for help. Could Amy have been forced into human trafficking? The mystery continues, and Amy's family still holds out hope that she'll return home one day. Case 5. Kenny B. Kenny B. was no ordinary adventurer. He was the kind of person who lived for the thrill of the unknown, someone whose spirit was fueled by the call of unexplored landscapes. The desert, with its vast, unforgiving stretches, seemed to be his natural habitat. Kenny thrived on the edge of discovery, and his passion for hiking and exploring took him to some of the most remote corners of the Southwest United States. On YouTube, Kenny had gained a small but devoted following, sharing his hikes and documenting his findings. Abandoned mines, eerie caves, and hidden corners of the Mojave Desert. Kenny's viewers were captivated by his discoveries. But there was one place in particular that caught his attention. One cave that stood out among the rest. A cave shaped like an M, something so unusual that it haunted him. There was something about the cave that gave Kenny an unsettling feeling, a strange sensation that vibrated through his body the closer he got to it. He described it as if the very air around it was charged with an odd energy, a deep, inexplicable sense of discomfort. He mentioned that it made his body feel off, like a warning, a gut feeling that he couldn't ignore. But despite that, Kenny couldn't resist the pull of the mystery. It was the kind of enigma that only someone like him would chase. He wasn't one to back down from a challenge. Kenny promised his viewers he would return to that cave to explore it further and solve its mystery. His fans encouraged him, pushing him to go back and document what lay inside. Despite the strange feeling he had about the cave, Kenny's desire for answers was stronger. He knew he couldn't leave it unresolved. So he made a decision. He would return, a lone dot in the vast and endless Mojave. Kenny set out for the cave once more, this time without the safety of company, without the backup of a friend. He was determined to face the fear that the cave had instilled in him. But this would be his final adventure. Days passed. The silence of the desert stretched on. When no word came from Kenny, his friends and family grew worried. It wasn't like him to disappear without warning, and after all, he'd told them exactly where he was going. A search team was launched, and volunteers scoured the harsh, unforgiving terrain of the Mojave Desert. They searched for days, hoping to find some clue that would explain Kenny's sudden disappearance. And then, at last, they found something. His phone. It was abandoned near an old mineshaft, miles from the nearest trail. The cold desert winds blowing over it like the remnants of a forgotten life. But that was all they found, a phone left behind. No sign of Kenny, no trace of his whereabouts, no footprints, no gear, no clue as to where he had gone or what had happened to him. The vastness of the Mojave Desert made the search nearly impossible. With its endless stretches of barren land and rocky terrain, finding a single person in such a massive area seemed like an insurmountable task. But despite the exhaustive search efforts, not a single shred of evidence was found to explain Kenny's disappearance. The cave, which had once haunted him so deeply, remained just as elusive as Kenny himself. For his fans, the mystery only deepened. What happened to Kenny B? Had he simply gotten lost in the desert? Or was there something far darker, something more sinister, lurking in the Mojave that claimed him? Theories swirled, but the truth remained buried beneath the vast and empty stretches of desert. The case of Kenny B's disappearance has become one of the most intriguing and chilling mysteries of the Mojave Desert. His story continues to captivate the hearts and minds of those who followed his journey, but the answers remain hidden. What happened to Kenny B in the desert that day? Was it an accident, or had he uncovered something in that cave, something he was never meant to find? As the years pass, Kenny's mystery endures, a reminder that the desert still holds secrets, ones that may never be uncovered. Case 6. Relisha Rudd. Relisha Rudd was just 8 years old when she vanished from Washington, D.C. in 2014. For a young girl, Relisha had already faced many challenges in her short life. She and her family had spent time in a homeless shelter, the General Family Shelter, which provided a roof over their heads, but not much else. It was there, amidst the chaos of the shelter, that Relisha crossed paths with Kil Tatum, a janitor, who worked at the facility. At first, Tatum's gestures seemed harmless. He began taking Relisha on outings, buying her gifts, and offering small acts of kindness to some. It might have seemed like a man trying to do something good for a child, living in difficult circumstances. But as time went on, the relationship between Tatum and Relisha began to raise red flags. When Relisha suddenly stopped attending school, her teachers grew concerned. At first, they were told that she was receiving medical care from a doctor. Relisha's mother, Shamika Young, claimed that her daughter was under the care of Dr. Tatum. But soon, it became clear that the man who was spending so much time with Relisha wasn't a doctor at all. He was a janitor, someone with no qualifications to be overseeing a child's health. Alarm bells started ringing. Why had Shamika, a mother in need of support, allowed this stranger to take her daughter on outings? Why hadn't she questioned his intentions? It wasn't long before a disturbing truth began to unravel. Surveillance footage revealed that Tatum had been seen with Relisha at a hotel Just days before she disappeared, the footage showed them together. But what was truly unsettling was the way Tatum appeared to be in control, guiding Relisha to a place where she seemed utterly alone. Days later, Relisha was gone. No one knew where she was, and her disappearance sparked a nationwide search. Authorities desperately tried to track down the young girl, following every lead and tip that came in. But every clue only led to more questions. Tatum's behavior became increasingly erratic. He wasn't just a figure in Relisha's life, he was now at the center of the investigation. And the evidence surrounding him painted a chilling picture. Tatum had been seen buying strange items in the days leading up to Relisha's disappearance: a shovel, trash bags, and other tools that suggested he was preparing for something far darker than just an outing with a young girl. Was he hiding something? Had he done something to Relisha that he was trying to cover up? The mystery deepened even further when, in a shocking twist, Kill Tatum's body was found in a park, having taken his own life. His death only added to the horror of Relisha's case. What happened in those final days? Did Tatum take Relisha to a place where she could never be found? Or did he have some knowledge of her whereabouts that went to the grave with him? With Tatum's death, the case grew even colder. There were no answers, only more questions. Was Relisha still alive? Could she be out there, somewhere, waiting to be found? Or had she been taken to a place from which she may never return? Her family is still left with that agonizing uncertainty. And the truth behind Relisha's disappearance remains a haunting mystery. Did she fall victim to a predator? Or was there something even more tragic and sinister at play? As the years pass, the search for Relisha continues, with no clear answers in sight. But one thing remains painfully clear. Relisha Rudd's case is a haunting reminder that sometimes, even when it seems like the truth is within reach, the answers may still be far out of grasp. Is she out there? Or has she vanished forever? The answers are still unknown, and the questions continue to haunt her family and those who care. Outro each of these stories leaves us with one unshakable question: what really happened? These unsolved mysteries haunt us, leaving behind more questions than answers. If you found these stories as chilling as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more dark and twisted cases. And remember, sometimes the truth is far more terrifying than we can imagine.